to Hack the Real Size podcast with Heather, Ashley, and myself, Keira, where we like to delve into the personal journeys of people in the acting industry and get to know them a little bit better. And tonight, we're very honoured to be joined by Micki Stoltt. Now, Mickey is a Danish actor who is best known for the French series Surrogate, but we know him best, and he's done loads of other things as well. I mean, IMDb him. I'm not going to try and pronounce anything that he's done because I make myself sound a dick. But we know him best as an amazing character that, again, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, from The Last Kingdom. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really, really honoured that you came on with us.
Thank you very much.
Especially because he's got a little baba who did not sleep well last night. So the poor guy is not feeling the brightest. But let's be honest, you look great. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. We all understand.
Can you pronounce your Last Kingdom character name for Keira?
Can you? I would love to hear you try. I would love to hear you try. Try and pronounce it.
Do you say it first?
No. You go.
Hang on, let me Google it, and then I'll see if I can.
Or not Google. I'm gonna.
Let me bring it up, and I'll see if I can say it.
It's usually my job to mispronounce things, and then they make fun of me because I can't pronounce them correctly. So,
yeah, would you say Muppets or Muffets? Just out of curiosity.
So funny.
Rognvaldr. Okay, Rognvaldr.
Yeah, it's like
what?
I was trying to do it phonetically, and I'm like, those two consonants aren't supposed to go together.
I'm trying to find it. I can't even find it.
Ragnar.
Oh, Rognvaldr or.
Okay, so it actually is like there are different ways to pronounce it, also because like it is with sig trigger, as many say, is like, but he says it differently. So he says it because he's like Ace is from Iceland, so he's pronouncing it his way, and we tried to figure out how should we say my character's name, but some say Rognvaldr but me and Ace we say Rognvaldr.
Yeah, I ain't gonna try and say that. Okay.
I hear it when I watch the show, and I'm like, I can't even I
would like pause it, and then I would like rewind it, and I'd be like, what? Is he? No, I can't get it.
Do you know I did that with trying to say, instead of saying sig trigger, I had to say sig trigger, and I don't roll with my tongue. So I was sitting and like listening to Ace, and he was like has recorded like all of the things he's saying, like all his lines and like my lines for me. So I was like listening to Ace, and I was listening to like how to pronounce sig trigger's name, and I was just like, he was just like just do it a little bit, because otherwise you're gonna have a stroke. So I understand it's hard.
Yeah.
I can't even say sig trigger. I every time I try and do it, like that was an anomaly right there, because usually I'm just like sig. My mouth wants to say the st first, like a st sound rather than a sig sound. But yeah, anyway, enough about my ineptitude.
Like Siggy or Siggy.
Siggy and Romney.
Yeah.
That's a spin-off.
Yeah, well, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? You kind of sound like
the fans are wanting a spin-off.
Yes, they do.
Of a show for you. I don't know if you are aware of that, but they are definitely preaching that. Well,
they definitely I've read a little bit, and it's just nice to hear that people are like wanting more, from that universe, and it's always just nice when you fall in love with the universe that there comes more, no matter what it is. So we can all just hope.
I would love to have like that prequel time of when he thought you were dead. Like I want to see like a spinoff of that time frame.
Yeah, what were you doing?
Yeah, what was I doing, and why am I so mad at him when I come back?
And drunk. You were drunk.
Drunk.
I was drunk.
I love that scene where you just fell back.
Yeah, I love that scene as well. I love that scene. But yeah, we can definitely talk about that, because it's like my character, I've tried to constantly find reasons to defend like how he is, because he is like this little trickster, and without trying to make Rognvaldr into like a complete weasel and a complete idiot that you don't like. Is like I needed to justify his actions. So it definitely we can get into that at some point. What happened in Ireland?
Absolutely.
I always like a character, and I say like, but it's like a love-hate. Like I don't like them at the beginning. I'm like, I want them to die immediately. But then you do like little small things that make you realize that there's more than just one side of that character. And then you're like, I kind of want them to survive, but they suck so bad. That's what your character was for me. I was like, I want you to do the right thing, but I'm so angry at you. Anyway.
You're such an idiot. I just love to hate you.
Yeah, basically.
But that's a sign of a good actor, though, isn't it?
It
Because
really
we know
is.
that the character's spineless. We know the character flip-flops all the time to save himself. But then we kind of, you know, when Sigtryggur is about to undo your bandages, we're kind of like, has it healed? We kind of want his hands to have healed. You know, we don't want him to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad that's how many people have felt, and because it was like I was a little bit like, just do people just want this guy dead? You know, when I was reading the pages, like also because Sigtryggur is so loved and for good reasons. It's like people just love him, and I do too. I love the character that Ace did, and it's just such an honor to get to play both Ace and Sigtryggur's brother. So it also felt like a little bit like, really need to, like, at least for myself, figure out why is he doing this, because I can't just go in and just fuck things up and then just pretend that will make everything okay.
You know what? At least you weren't Bressel, because that dude was a dick. So
poor Harry.
I know, poor Harry.
Because we interviewed him like back in September, and we're like, we really like Harry. We hope his character's not a dick, and then it comes out, and we're like,
dude, you slaughter women and children. Seriously, you couldn't have been a bigger dick.
But he did such an amazing job with that. So yeah.
There's literally no redeeming qualities about that character. No, he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, apart from the fact he was cute, that's it. That was Harry's only redeeming character, and that wasn't even a character choice. There you go. So anyway, we are digressing massively. The way this usually works, without us rambling on loads to start with, is I will take the first section where I just do like some quick fire questions to get to know you a little bit better, and then Ashley will take the middle section where she talks a bit more about how you got into acting and your acting classes and coaching and things, and then Heather will talk a bit more about specific roles or how you prepare for days on set and things like that. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, excellent. So a really simple one to start with is what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Well, right now is like I have a 1-year-old, so I wake up by me and my fiance. We sleep in different rooms right now because it's like my fiance wakes up every 20 minutes to get breastfed, and she wakes up also at around 5. So like we have that deal where she takes most of the night, and then I get up at 5 and take her, and then and then she gets to sleep for some more hours. So the first thing I do is that I go into my daughter and like pick her up, and she's sitting in the bed and just all happy and waiting for me, and then we go out and we play.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean, it sucks for your poor fiance. I'm so sorry for her. One day she'll get sleep again. One day she'll get to sleep. Oh, bless her. But that's not a bad way for you to wake up.
No. It's the best. It's the best. Well, right when I wake up and I hear the phone ringing, I'm like, oh fuck. And then I see her face, and I'm just like, oh, this is the best thing in the world.
No, it's cute. It is cute, and they know they're cute as well, so they get away with being really mean and keeping you up all the time. And they just gonna look at you, and you're just like, oh, okay, here's my heart. Rip it out of my chest. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, if animals could talk, who do you think would be the rudest? Which animal?
The rudest animal.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good question. The rudest animal. It's like what the rudest animal, and I want to come up with like a good one, you know, one that no one has said before, because you can always say a baboon or something like that that's showing their butts. But it's like I would like, I don't know, just go with like a hippo, you know, spreading their poo, you know. It's like if they would do that with their mouth as well, you know, they would like spread shitty words.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I've never thought of that, but next time I see a hippo, I'm gonna be like, I got you.
You're so rude underwater.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I know you. So who is your favorite Disney character? You gotta have one, even if you're a guy, I'm afraid.
Favorite Disney character from the films, or just like the whole Disney franchise?
Oh God. Okay. Well, Disney owns an awful lot now, so I'm gonna say from the Disney
okay. Now I'm gonna go with Mickey Mouse, but it's only because we're half named brothers. You know, it's like I've been called that half in my whole life. So yeah, Mickey Mouse is always a dear.
That's quite cute. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given.
Sorry, I go really high and then really low with my questions.
It's just from one thing to another.
Yeah.
One thing I
can like keep you on your toes.
It's like I method to you, I did not sleep last night, Keira.
Really good. I was like, the best advice.
Just a good one.
Trust your guts. I think that's it. You know, and more maybe trust your emotions.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And very, very pertinent for the acting world, I think. So we were asked this, our guest last night turned it around and asked us this one. So we got to pass it on, and then you got to pass it on to the next person. Would you rather fight a tiger with a longsword or fight a T-Rex with an AK-47?
Fight a T-Rex.
Okay. And your reason being?
What?
What's your rationale?
My rationale is just merely the thing of standing in front of a T-Rex. You know, that's the thing. Where I was just like, that's like a child dream. And actually, I would have trouble killing it. I would just try and shoot it in the foot to prevent it from walking. But it's like, you know, I would just be like, T-Rex.
That was kind of our thinking as well. We were kind of like, if we're going out, we may as well go out big. You know what?
Did all of you guys answer T-Rex or?
No, Ashley answered tiger.
I did, because I was thinking about survival mode, and I was like, I could maybe survive with a tiger. I'm not gonna survive with the T-Rex, because it's like a T-Rex, and you're like, wow, and then it like steps or eats you in like a second.
Oh, see, I'm like, no, I grew up on Jurassic Park, so I'm like, they can't see motion. Like you hide and you stay really still, and then they'll go by you, and you're good. I'm like, be a coward, come on.
Just hide from it.
So you just know how to survive with dinosaurs now. It's like people have been seeing Walking Dead, and they're just like, if zombies come, I'm prepared. You know.
Good thing.
We will be asking you that one in a minute. Don't you worry.
Well, no, I wouldn't survive all dinosaurs. Just the T-Rex.
The
raptors are pretty nasty. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Advice from Heather right there. This one, like, I don't want to put too much emphasis on this one, but it's a super important one, okay? What is your favorite cake flavor? And by the way, there is a wrong answer.
There is a wrong answer.
Oh man.
I'm definitely gonna pick it. Like it's for me it's I think it's just chocolate.
Dude, yes.
So it's just like but also because it's like chocolate, you can get it in any form, and it's just good, and you can put anything on it, you can put anything in it, it just doesn't matter.
I'm feeling you right there. Yes. If you'd been like vanilla or like Victoria Sponge, I would have been like, get out now. Heather, eject him. Like eject him. Good, well done, you passed. What scares you?
Not being a good father.
That's a really honest answer.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My best piece of parenting advice I can give is just make shit up as you go along. No one knows what they're doing. Everyone's just trying to make it out alive.
And also, I got the best piece of advice. She was like, you know what? No matter what, you're gonna fuck your kids up. So you can just try and not fuck them up as badly as you could.
As much as possible. Just so they don't have to have too much therapy.
Exactly. They are gonna have traumas, but just don't give them too many.
Yeah. Too many trauma core memories.
Well, that's a cheery thought, isn't it? I'm just literally, as you say this, I'm going back thinking, shit, what traumas have I given my children so far? It's probably cake related, if I'm honest.
It's the chocolate. They're
vanilla
gonna hate
cake.
chocolate. You know that you ruined that for them because they've just been fed it.
Yeah. Child number 2, definitely. Child number 1 went through a really long time going, I don't like chocolate. And everyone was like, is she your child? I'm like, I don't know. This is very strange.
Is she okay?
She'll be fine. So there's 2 questions that we ask all of our guests. The first one, and I'm going to pretend that you've researched our podcast, so you absolutely 100% know what's coming.
Yeah.
But he's like that.
No, but I have seen. I've just said, like, I saw the one with Harry. I loved it. It was a really good. It was a very good episode.
Oh, which one? McIntyre or Anton? Anton.
Oh yeah, he's a laugh. I love Harry. So if you could remake any film using just the cast of the Muppets and one token human actor, what film would it be and what actor?
Johnny Depp as the Joker in The Dark Knight.
Oh, okay. So who's going to play Batman? Which Muppet?
Kermit.
It will be interesting to see him in that role.
I would just love to see, some of those, that last scene where it's like I just see Johnny Depp hanging downwards, and there's like Batman has like caught him and they have that conversation there. That would just be amazing.
Right now, I wish somebody could do a Kermit impression to say I'm Batman. That would just make my life right now, but I can't do it. I mean,
and then
Mickey
as Gordon, Commissioner Gordon or Commissioner Piggy. That would be amazing.
That would be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. But instead of like a bat symbol in the sky, she like sneakily changes it to like a bright pink neon pig signal, just because she can't deal with him getting the attention. I can just picture it now. And the other question we always ask everybody, which I feel that you are quite prepared for, is realistically, in a zombie apocalypse, how long do you think you'd survive?
Not that long. I think it would protect my daughter. I think it was like she would run out, and my daughter is like fast as fuck, and she's just all over the place, and she would just run out and like hug the first zombie, and I would just try and get her away, and the zombie would just kill me, just die.
Damn kids.
And that was me.
Oh my god, that's like literally the most depressing answer we've ever had.
Well, I'm glad I can contribute with that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My child would be my downfall. We'd all just fucking die. Yeah.
But it wouldn't be but it would be like it's like rather a heroic death like that than just long drawn out one where I'm just like throwing my daughter in the arms just to save myself, in the arms of a zombie, and be like, here, take her, make her into one of you, and then I'll just run off.
And maybe I get some sleep. Oh, well, thank you so much for answering my ridiculous questions that went off in tangents that I couldn't have even imagined, and I loved it so much. I'm here for it. I am. I'm going to pass you on to Ashley for slightly more sensible conversation. Sorry.
Yes. I always like to start people off about where they're from and where they grew up.
Well, I grew up in a little town called Stenlille. It means little stone, and it's like in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, that was where I grew up. And
that's in Denmark, right?
What? In Denmark, yeah. In Denmark, and it was like, yeah, I was there until I was 17, I think. So yeah.
Okay. And what inspired you or got you into acting?
Well, before I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be an illustrator and like draw comics and stuff like that. So and I went to an animation school, and throughout like half a year in, I figured out that I just got so tired of sitting down like 6 hours a day and just drawing. I thought it was like, I need to move. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure out in a way to be in worlds and stuff, and where I can move, and acting was that.
Did they offer it at the school that you went to, or were you just like, I'm going to quit this and I'm going to go to acting school?
It was like a 10th grade mix between so I took that year, and then I went on from there, and then I went to attended an acting college, or several. So yeah.
Okay. And did you attend acting school in Denmark?
Well, it's like we have the the national theater schools in
Mhm.
Copenhagen, and it's really hard to get in. And I applied for 5 years, and they wouldn't let me in. And one of the reasons was that in one of the years, well, I came to the final test, and they said to me that I didn't I didn't fit in on the team. So that was a reason for why I didn't like get in for one of the times. And in the end, I just got tired of applying for a school. And then a couple of years after that, I got the part in Surrogate, and I was like, well, now I'm definitely not gonna apply anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, now I'm just an actor.
So while you were applying, are you doing any training on your own? Were you just researching things? Like, how did you go about prepping yourself to basically be an actor?
Well, I attended. It's like you can attend these like colleges where you take a year or half a year, and then you pay for it yourself, and then you take like acting classes there, and you go to acting classes every day. And I did that for must have been like four years in total on different schools for like half a year there and a year another place. And one of my mentors that really got me also into this technique and really just have done the world for me is Tua Linhart, the guy that played Guthred, the slave king.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, he's been my mentor for like so many years, and is like, yeah, he has taught me so many things until he taught me basically everything I know until I got to become one of Ivana Chopok's students. So yeah.
Well, since you're talking about that, can we talk about, because you mentioned that you were a coach for acting. Do you do just only in person, or do you do online? Can you talk about your coaching at all that you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've been teaching acting for some years, but then as me and Tua, we started out with this technique. Also while I was attending these other great acting schools, but he was like the one where every time I applied for the national schools where you became a certified actor, proper actor, then I would he would coach me on all the texts and for applying for the schools. And we use this technique all the time. So I really spent a long time getting into this technique, and then I became certified Chopok teacher at the Ivan Chopok studio, and after that I started working on my agency. It's called Panorama Agency. Has also something called Panorama Academy, where they educate students, and I'm a teacher there. So I'm teaching upcoming actors, and then also have gone into like coaching personally if people come and if people come to me and they want to just get a coaching session for self tapes, or if they get a part like I coached an actor for Emily in Paris, and so it's like it's that, and that's like the coaching and in this specific amazing technique.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome. And I'm sorry, did you say it was only in person that you coach, or do you also do online?
Yeah. Well, I do it online also. We do it online. We both have like, because we also at the Panorama Academy we wanted to make it more available. So it's like we also do it on Zoom, but also in person. So it's both.
Is there a website or a link that we can add when we release this for people to go to?
Yeah, definitely. It's just panoramaacademy.com or the agency. Then yeah, that would be the place. That's also where I'm represented. So that would be good.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your process of getting your agent?
Well, yeah, definitely, because it's in Scandinavia. It's like they're not, we don't have that many agents, so it was quite hard getting into an agency, but luckily I was so lucky that my agent Lene Seistel took me on very early on, also because they had a program for upcoming actors called New Generation, and they still have that. So it's like I've been on that program, and we also got taught by different teachers there. So it's like in that way I came in, and I was just so lucky that they believed in me. I came in 2013, so it's like 9 years I've been with them. So they have basically just believed in me for many years before I even got the part, for example, in Surrogate. So that's just amazing to have those in my back.
Awesome. And what was your process like for getting the role of surrogate?
My process for that was just, we got offered a bunch of self tapes, so it was like we all like. Then at that point, I would just, do the self tape and then try to apply the Chopper technique, and then it was basically like every other self tape. I think actually at that point I had another self tape for a movie, for an American movie, and this self tape I was like, I'm just gonna do it a little bit quickly, and then I was really gonna work on the other one, and then I ended up getting it. And Surrogate was one of the best things that happened to me, because I got the opportunity to have one of the lead roles playing opposite this amazing woman that I fell in love. I was playing a character falling in love with this character, and we fell in love for real, and that is my fiance now, and we have a child. So it's like,
That's so cool. I love it.
I love it.
That was the best. So
that was the best
I'm
thing.
so grateful for that.
That's lovely. Did you have to speak French on the French, because it was a French TV show?
No, it was like French American, so we got to speak American, all of us. So
no, you got to speak English. Thank you very much. Don't let these people.
English. Sorry, English.
Take the language. Thank you.
No, we don't mind American. We don't mind it at
Danish. There's like very Danish accents. It's like, yeah.
No, that's awesome. So I know you talked about who inspired you, so I won't ask that, but what would you say maybe your best audition has been and your harshest rejection has been so far?
The first one was my best audition.
Yeah.
Well, I think it must really have been this one for The Last Kingdom.
What did you have to do?
Well, but it was just, I think it was also, just more the feeling. It was more the feeling of it, and we got to do some things, and I got to do several things, and it was one where it wasn't really in one of the scenes, and I was wounded, and I had to, and I applied like hummus on my arm, like salve that was trying to heal my wound, like all kinds of things that I could sit and play with stuff. So it became a very playful self tape. I think it was like, I don't know how it was watching it, but it was like, for me it felt very playful, and I was like really set on getting this in some sort of way, because this was my 4th self tape for The Last Kingdom. So it was like, so I actually also did a self tape for Cittric. That was my first one, and then for some small town guy, I don't even know if he was in it really afterwards, and then actually I auditioned for Cittric. So that was really fun. That then it was Ace that got that part.
Yeah, it was fate then, wasn't it?
It was really fate.
Did you have to screen test with anybody to see if you had chemistry with it, or did they just give you the role and then you met people?
Well, I got a call back, an online call back, and sitting there, highly nervous, and then it was like some directors and the producers and Alexander coming on, and I was like playing with Alexander doing these things, and it was just like, of course I had like seen the series, and it felt he was just so great, so it felt really familiar really quickly, which he's like brilliant at, also as a director. So it was just like, it was a really good experience all in all, and then just get that amazing call from my agent and be like, yeah, you got it.
So awesome.
So
yeah. Well, what would you say is your like worst or maybe toughest audition that you've had?
Yeah. Toughest audition. Well, do you want do you guys want a long one or a short one or a medium? I can try and make it as short as possible.
No, we want the best story that you can give us because that's what this is about.
Okay, so and this is like also a little bit of a sensitive one, but I think it's also worth sharing because it's like I got this part. It was actually my very first part, and I did my first audition, and the audition itself went good, and I got the part in this short film that was gonna be either be like a long film or short film, and I ended up because it was my first thing, and I was like really nervous, and I when we started filming, and there was like no budget. It was like no budget. It was this guy that was just like making his own movies, and he basically like in the end sat me down and was like, you just have to act now, you just have to do it properly because you're a bad actor, you're doing it poorly, and you're never going to be an actor if you do it this way. And really like just tore me down doing this thing. And it was like that was like one of those things where either I would have quit or I would have been like, fuck no, I'm going to show this piece of shit that
Yeah.
I'm gonna become an actor. And actually also he made like he started like flirting with me and wanted to do like more, so it's like also had like some uncomfortable. I was like 18 at that point, so I had some uncomfortable experiences with him hitting on me and stuff like that. So I think that's also just important, like also to get out some of these stories, because we are in a time where all these like stories are like they just need to get forth, and we just need to really recognize that there's nothing wrong with us, but that there are creeps out there that they're like just want power, and we just have to like get rid of them in this industry, to be really honest. So yeah. Yeah, that
No,
was like a little segue, but that's definitely my worst, if you can say, experience. Maybe not my worst audition, but my worst experience.
No, and thank you for sharing that. Part of this podcast, or the reason is like we want people to tell their personal journeys, their experience, because you never know who it relates to. My thing was I came from a really small town in the middle of nowhere, and how do you go from, there might be someone out there listening that's like, I'm in a small town. How did you find those resources? How did you become an actor? How did you get where you got? And stories like that, the one that you just shared about, there's uncomfortable situations. And when you're trying to get into this industry and you finally get a job and you're in those uncomfortable situations, what do? You feel like if I say something, then I lose this job, and then I lose, maybe nobody wants to work with me because they, it's rumored I'm tough to work with. But I think it's important to share those things of like, how do you deal with those situations? How did you, obviously that didn't stop your career. You were like, this is uncomfortable, and you're an actor today and you're doing well, so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, we just have to recognize that like there are people out there who are not very nice, and we do the best we can, even though we don't make the most brave decisions sometimes. And I definitely didn't either do that and really say no to things, but we really just need to show ourselves love and say that we did what we could with the opportunities we had, and basically we did what we could afterwards. And then don't let those experiences kill our dreams or our desires. So
right.
Hindsight is always 2020, isn't it? You can look back on something, especially when you're older and especially when you're wiser, and go, well, I could have handled it differently. But when you're in the situation, when that's happening, that's your life right now, like you've got to give yourself a break.
It's so easy to be like, I should have handled that in a different way. But it's like you just become that person to yourself that always like is talking negative like about yourself, and always someone is always wiser than you, and always tell, oh, you should have done this. We shouldn't do that to ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves and love ourselves and say you did what you could.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know we joked earlier about survivor mode and like, would we sacrifice our kids and those things? But I think that when there's those types of situations, you do kind of go into a survivor mode. So what is the best tactic for this second at this moment? Whether that be just a couple minutes or if it's for an entire movie, how do you just survive it and deal with it? And then you can process it later. And it's really sad. But I think sharing these stories make it possible for people to have better survival moments in those type of moments. So again, just really appreciate you kind of like bringing that part, because I don't think it's talked about. I mean, I think it is getting talked about more in this industry, but it's not talked about nearly enough, you know?
And it's really important to know that we're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so what is your game plan in the future? Like what, you know, we talked about hopefully there'll be a spinoff with your story, but any game plan in the future that we can get to see you?
Well, that's just hopes. You know, we all have hopes and ideas and fantasies about, and yeah, it's like right now I don't have anything, first of all, that I can talk about, and like mostly like right now my game plan is basically because my daughter is like 1, so it's like basically mainly be there for her, and then if things come up, and then just I coach a lot, and then I just take the opportunities that come my way. So and then it's just trying to enjoy this moment and being like, hey, the season 5 just came out, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it, and I enjoy when like getting so overwhelming amounts of love from people writing me, and it's really amazing. And it's just like it's been so just I'm just so grateful, just trying to be in it and be like, this is amazing.
Yeah. We touch base a lot on, I feel like recently, I always say the calm moments or the quiet moments in the industry, because you know it's always the hustle of trying to get the next job, but then just really appreciating, like you said, like you just finished season 5 and like just living in that moment of like you did that, you know, and just being able to appreciate where you're at without being like, okay, that's done. Now what did I get to do the next one? So that's really great that you're like, I'm just soaking this in, and it was amazing to be a part of.
Definitely, and also because otherwise this should have been like we finished like April last year, or I
Yeah.
finished April last year, they finished June last year, and it was like, yeah, you know, I should have been sitting and worrying since then about when am I getting the next acting gig. It's like we can't do that. We can just be in it and be happy, and whatever happens right now, we can try and be. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
I mean, I feel like it goes day to day. Like some days you're like, yes, you know, that, and then some days you're like, no, I don't know. For me, I'll speak for me. I'll be like, I don't get any auditions. Oh my God, was I just terrible? Did they take me off the roster? And then you get like 4 and it's like due by tomorrow. And you're like, why? Why is the universe like this? Well, that concludes my section. I'm going to pass you over to Heather so she can ask her questions.
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about some of my questions, but I wanted to circle back to like how you prepare for your auditions. You explicitly mentioned a technique that you really like using. Can you just elaborate and just kind of explain what is it about that technique that resonates so much with you versus other techniques you've used in the past?
Well, for me, this technique is like, I always use this, and of course I can also go in and use different other kinds of things and like add-ons, like physicality and stuff like that, which I also did for Rognvaldr. But the chopper technique for me does all the groundwork. It's like from there on I'm ready and I can go in and like do something. The chopper technique is developed by Ivana Chopok, and she's amazing acting coach, coached many people, Halle Berry, Brad Pitt, Travis Fimmel from Vikings, like all these people, and she was my what do you say, on-set coach. So she was working with me while I was doing the series, and this technique is just really amazing. It's like 12 steps that you go through, and it's based in psychology and anthropology, and it's just it's about winning, basically. You want to win, you want to be empowered. She also wrote the book The Power of the Actor, and it's a really great book, because it all is about that we don't want to make our character any kind of victim. We want to constantly make bold choices and make them like try and win and make them powerful in whatever way we can.
Which is perfect because it leads into my next question with, you touched earlier, like how did you find it to defend and create your character to be that character that we love, but then we hate him at the same time? So what was your
Well,
thought
we've
process
been,
on it?
well, it's very, very easy. We've been touching the subject actually so much during this lovely, lovely episode because he's a kid. That's basically my take on it. He's a kid and he's an opportunist, and is like, kids can be the most pleasurable things to be around, and it can be the opposite sometimes, where you're like, you get so angry because Rognvaldr is in many ways just a kid, and that was definitely a choice I also made, because there are when I watched the series, there are a lot of manly, strong men, and I was just like, the opposite to that is just kids. It's a kid, and one that has never grown up, because in that time you needed to grow up so quickly, and he's just a little brother, and he's and for him, for me to also justify that he's just acting on whatever whim, he needs, he feels like he needs, and that I talked to Ace about that, and Sigtryggur is like thinking long stretch. He's like always thinking in the long term, like plans out in the future. And Rognvaldr is like, he's like trying to figure out what to eat next. You know, that's like where he goes, and he doesn't really think things through. He just looks at things, and then if he wants it, he takes it. So that was my approach also in trying to defend. So if we always like look from that kid perspective, and we looking from the perspective of the whole Chopok technique, he's like, he has had his power taken away from him so much. So he basically is just trying to take his power back, and at the same time get the love of his brother. And to him, all this is like just a game of chess. It's like, yes, you left me in Ireland to die. Now I tried to take over your kingdom. Let's have more fun after that. You know, it's from there basically that he's thinking.
And honestly, when you describe it like that, I think back and I'm like, oh my God, he is like this little bratty younger kid, like through the whole thing. Even though he's an adult, I'm like, oh my God, I see all the brattiness and like the pain in the ass of like a younger sibling. It just is that kid mentality in an adult body, I guess.
Yeah.
I really wanted to justify also because there are some of the scenes where he's in the basement, he's like screaming for Sigtryggur, and he's like crying, and you know, it's like that. It's like, you know, kids do that when they're like, when I take like sometimes my daughter goes out into our dishwasher and she takes out a knife, you know, and I take it from her because I'm like, this is dangerous, and she stomps in the ground and tears are like coming out. She's like, "Bruh!" Like I've done the most horrible thing to her, and that's like,
Daddy.
it's like, exactly, it's another trauma. So it's like, it's from that point of view all the time. It's like that he's also constantly trying to manipulate him into like drawing him in closer.
Yeah. And earlier you said about a story in Ireland. I don't know what the story was. Do you want to tell us?
No, but it's just because we tried to read up on it a little bit, and I tried to read up, and it's not because I haven't read that much history about it, but it's just, for me, it made sense that he would come in and try to like lure his brother, try to take over his kingdom when we know that the history says that he got left is in Ireland. Is also why one of my lions are slept before the ice rivers of Ireland. It's like, and I'm pointing at him because he knows he left me there. You left me there to die, and then you sailed off like a coward. So, you know, that was for me, that was a pretty good reason to come back with Brita and be like, hey bro, let's take
Remember me?
Yeah.
I feel like from a historical standpoint, that was very normal back then.
Just
for brothers to kill each other and take each other's land or kingdoms or whatever. It was like completely normal that action is that extreme, because we were like, I would never do that to my brother, but it was very common of that, but then also want that love and respect. So I mean, I feel like you guys really captured that essence of that time.
Thank you. Well, that makes me happy because it was really important for me and Ace too, that we try to really work on the brother love, because it's like, it's so easy to go in and just make two brothers that hate each other, but two brothers that make two brothers that can't figure out how to be around each other without tearing off the heads of each other's toys. You know,
Right.
is that thing, but we still love each other and we try to learn how to be together.
You're
It was
entwined.
like, right. It was like a definitely, you could definitely see the love and how deep it was, but of the social norms of maybe what was expected, that you were, at least for me watching, that it felt like you guys were fighting against. Like, I have to do this because this is social norms, like killing you. You know what I mean? Like you got to die because that's what's supposed to happen. But how do you kill someone that you love so deeply and you care about? I don't know. It was good.
That makes me happy that
Yeah.
it came across and that people have felt it, at least many. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I want to ask this question because, you know, all over social media, the Last Kingdom cast is a very tight knit group, like this little family. So, how was your experience coming into a cast that had been together for like, you know, several years, some of them, and that were so tight knit? Did you find it I don't know, was it easy for you, I guess, to like just meld right in with them?
Well, let me say it this way: from multiple people that I've both talked with, both afterwards and also when I was on set, is like everyone in the crew, not only the cast, but everyone from the makeup department to the costume, like to and producers, and like everyone is like, it's one of the nicest sets and one of the nicest productions you can be on. It's like they are unbelievably nice and they are so friendly, and it just it is it feels special to be invited in to that little family that also has been together. And of course you come in and every like Emily and Eliza, and like they know each other so well. And then it's also, of course, everybody was like really welcoming and just very curious. And for someone who was just like in one season, it was like they've become really good friends. So many of the cast members, and especially also like many of them, but especially also Ace and Jaco and Jeppe, and you know there are many of them, and Eliza, and you know many of them has become like really people where I'm like I want to write them and send pictures of my daughter, and you know it's like on that note. So it's just that everybody has just been amazing.
So up to this point, what do you feel has shaped your career the most? Do you feel like it was The Last Kingdom that was so popular, or was it something that you had done previously that was just a really good learning experience for you?
Well, it's like everything, basically everything we've talked about. I think that there has been different things I've picked up along the way, and definitely having a mentor for that many years, getting certified a chopper teacher, which meant that 2 months after I got certified, I got this audition and I booked it, you know. So it was like definitely becoming a certified chopper teacher did some kind of little key thing into making my acting maybe that tiny bit more, I don't want to say good, but I want to say believable maybe. But yeah, you know, it's like definitely these things, like, but there are different things, you know, like getting an agent, just getting the opportunities. It's like there are different things that have constantly done things, so it's hard for me to say. But of course The Last Kingdom has done something very unique, because I've never been on a show that has been number one on Netflix in several countries. And you know, it's like all these things where I just feel so grateful and so humbled by that. And I'm like, don't really believe it either in some sort of way, because for me it feels so big just even being on like a Netflix thing. It's like exciting.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
I hope that was a way to put it, because yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, I mean, I started watching the show a few years ago, and I'm like, I still can't believe it's number one. That it's not like more talked about. I mean, it is talked about, but it's almost like it is, but it's not. Like you have like a group of people who are like really into it, and then it's like no one else has heard of it, but yet it's still like number one. Because I have several friends, and they're like, "What show is that?" I'm like, "How have you not heard of this show yet? Like it's literally number one on Netflix." Like
ton on Netflix.
Doing.
Go to top 10. It's
I
I
there.
think the fan base is incredibly loyal and incredibly proactive as well. They've been incredibly lucky to garner such a fan base. I don't know what the difference is with other shows or anything, but yeah, I definitely think the fans are helping drive that up to number one.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. It's like the fans, it just seems like also because I didn't really know how it was until I was on the other side, because I was just watching the show also for auditioning for it and stuff. And yeah, I was just like, afterwards, I've just been like, wow, there's just some really, really, really loyal fans out there that just like putting so much time and effort into like giving this show attention and love and so much of themselves and of their time and stuff. So I'm just amazed by all the amazing fans that are. It's a special group of fans. It's not just like the normal fans. It's like a dedicated, very, very highly dedicated group.
And one thing I wanted to ask, and you might have kind of touched on it earlier. I mean, you said you had auditioned 4 times for this show. So we know as actors, you will audition and get rejected so many more times. So how did you deal with, I guess, not just the rejection from, for The Last Kingdom, because you said it was a part that you just really, really, really wanted. But how do you just get in that mindset of just dealing with the rejection in this industry?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I don't know if I am. I don't know if I am really dealing with it. I'm like, I think it's always hard, it's like maybe you come to a point where you do so much work that it just becomes a little bit superfluous, really. But it's like, for me, I just love doing acting, and I've really worked hard, and I've put myself really into this. So it's like every time I get a rejection, of course there is something inside of me where I get not sad, but I just you get the feeling, fuck. It's like, because you, especially if it's a part where you feel like you would really want it, because you at least I try to invest myself a little bit, and like I read up and I try to really take strong character choices, and it would be sometimes I just feel like, I would really love to do this character. And I did that with Rognvaldr as well. It was like, I would really love to play this guy, and to be Sigtryg's brother would be amazing, So it's like I think it is just about Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. He said that really good. I'm not saying it correctly, but he talked about, like, when you go in and you do an audition, it's like that's your job. You go in and you do your audition, do your job, and then walk away, because the rest is not up to you. And there's like so many people that are gonna sit and watch it often, and there's like producers and directors, and do you fit well in with the cast? And in my sense, it's like, do I look like Ace? Can me and Ace look like each other? And luckily we could, So that was also like a big thing, because if Ace would have looked completely different from me, then they would have picked someone else. Mm-hmm. Not because I'm a bad actor, but because they are brothers, So there is like so many things where you can be like, yeah, it's like you can't you have to. Take it enough to heart so that you get so provoked into working for the next thing and being like, I'm gonna fucking get the next part, but not enough so that you'll beat yourself in the head with it.
Mm-hmm. And some of the scenes in The Last Kingdom were extremely emotional, and I mean, you really had to hype yourself up, especially for like the sword, holding it. So how do you just mentally come down from doing scenes that are either just so emotionally like draining, or where you're just putting so much of yourself out there to just be able to turn it off and be Mickey again?
Well, it's like, for me, I don't. It's also, now I'm talking a lot about this method, but is the job work technique. You use so much of yourself. Like, I'm dealing with, and I'm not going to tell what I used for the pictures because it's very personal, but it's like I was carrying something that was like really important to me and into my life, in my life at that point. So it was like that picture I had of what that hot iron rod was, and because the brain can't really distinguish between like emotional and physical pain, then it was like using the emotional pain. And then for me, having that travel emotionally of carrying this thing and taking on that burden and carrying it out and winning, like like for me, that was Mickey. It was just me. I was in it. That was also why it's like so many people have commented on that snot that's coming out of my nose, like there, and it's my snot, and it's not a prop thing. It's my everything is me, tears and snot and saliva and everything, because it's just like I let everything go because it was so emotional. And I'm like, if he's emotional, if everything goes, he's not gonna be pretty, but he's gonna do everything he can. And so for me, we in the chopper technique, we always work towards some sort of resolution, some way of that you come out on the other side emotionally better. So in that way, it's never negatively loaded, or I feel like, oh no, I have to come down, or I have to like, now I need to be alone, or all of these things, because it's like actually more like you should always come out feeling great, because it's also your job. For me, it's important to feel great, and I'm like, oh, I really used my emotions, I used the trauma I have in my life, I used all the shit I have from my past in, like she says, in my work today, so I can have a better future. So when you take on that, it's like, for me, there's no distinguish. Is it me? Is it not me? Is it good? Is it bad? Like, it's emotions, and it's pleasurable using them.
Well, you played that scene beautifully. It was a great scene.
Thank you. It was my favorite scene. I loved it so much, and I was so nervous.
Just nervous from like the emotional intensity of it, or just
from reading it and being like, okay, I'm gonna do one of those hit like cliffhanger things, and I'm gonna be like, am I really gonna be able to pull this thing off? Because I was like, luckily it was one of my my favorite scenes in the show, because it was like, and I got to be in it, and there's like a brotherhood and like that whole thing. So I loved that scene so much, and yeah, it was like I was highly nervous from that.
How many times did they make you film it?
What?
How many times did they make you film it?
Well, we filmed for, I think it was like, I think we filmed like for half a day at least. Like
You had to get to that place and that emotion like multiple times.
Yeah, definitely. And then from the different angles and stuff like that. But like, yeah, it was great, and there was like great directors and cameramen, and like everyone was just working together, and having Ace and Ruby there was also just amazing, because they were really good, and it was just,
did you find between takes, when you had to reset and do again, did you feel that you had to sort of stay a certain level in character, or were people joking around in set, or did you like, how do you go in and out of that if you're filming for such a long time?
Well, I tried with this particular scene, I tried to really stay in it, but also because it was like I took from such a personal place, so it was not like it was hard getting out of, but it's more like, if we have like a conversation and I'm sharing something that is really personal, then it's not nice to have like a joke right after that has nothing to do with what you've talked about, and all of a sudden comes in and some says a joke, or so I just tried to be in it and have like normal conversations, and with like people were so the costume people were amazing, and they just constantly gave me jackets on, and I had like warm boots because I was bare feet, and it was like luckily one of the warmest days that had been, and there was sun, but it had been like really cold the days before, so it was like, yeah.
I couldn't even imagine having to like get that place, and for so long I'd be absolutely knackered.
I was tired. It was not because I wasn't tired, but it was still satisfying, and feeling and feeling like, okay, I felt like I just gave everything I could, luckily. So it was really, and I could do that because there were so many great people supporting that scene, as the directors and everyone, and cameramen, and yeah, everyone on set.
Yeah. So is there anything that we have not asked you that you wanted us to ask, or something that you, like a story you really want to share, an experience that we didn't specifically ask you about?
It's hard. It's like, I
basically just do like such an amazing
to you guys. I feel like I want to keep talking, No, it's I don't think that there's anything, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
So towards the end, huh? I'm sorry.
It's hard, isn't it? When you get asked a question like that, it's like, is there anything else I should ask you about? And you're like,
I was like in a job interview when they say, "Have you got any questions for us?" And then you just go,
I'm perfect, thank you.
Is there anything? Okay, but I can ask you, like, is there anything like you guys have thought about anything that was like, or a hard question? Is there anything where you're like, oh, I can't really ask this question, or is there
we
anything
tend to ask
like that?
everything.
Um,
We don't have any boundaries.
we basically, I mean, we do pretty much ask anything, especially if it's like organically feels okay to talk about it. We try to keep like personal, like we're not like, you know, what is your fiance's name, or like how long have you been dating? We try not to do that kind of stuff.
Not People
but-
Magazine.
Or yeah, like we're not, yeah. So we try to keep it very like your personal journey, but like in a professional, without, you know, we say
Yeah,
fuck a
really
lot too, a professional-ish, you know, way. But
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of questions we want to ask, but we know you probably can't talk about, like, you know, like we know there's NDAs and like things you're working on now, or things you might have worked on that maybe you're done working on, but you can't talk about yet. So,
oh, I have a question. What is something that you can share, but what behind the scenes story would you like to share about The Last Kingdom that maybe nobody knows yet? It could just be like a personal.
oh, that's what I
funny
was
thing?
gonna, who did we ask? Because I read that like when people come on, like new people come on to The Last Kingdom, like the existing
there's
cast would
pranks.
always do like pranks and stuff to the new people. And who was it we just interviewed and we asked, and he was like, I didn't have any pranks.
Gosh,
Yeah. And we're like, oh, no pranks. He's like, yeah, I didn't get any pranks. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
No, I didn't get
He's
any.
like, I didn't
but
either.
I didn't. I was like, no, I should have. No, it's like no, the behind the scenes, like the only thing I think was really fun was that there is the guy that is getting beheaded. When Brita is like when actually just when the Citriga is like about to be taken over by the whole Brita group, and they cut the head off the priest or what
Yeah.
and you know this whole thing. The guy that's playing the priest is the guy that is inside the Teletubby Tinky Winky. So
what?
Teletubby?
Tinky Winky. So
Oh my gosh.
so that was like a like aha moment for all of us. Like me and Ace also got like photos taken with him because we thought it was so awesome.
That's amazing. That is like such a little nugget of gold. And how random is that? I will never be able to watch that scene the same. I will
So
always think
when you see that head rolling towards
Yes.
Ace, then you just see Tinky Winky.
Winky.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the
Look,
baby,
someone
the
needs to
son's probably
do-
crying.
Someone needs to Photoshop that image. And when they cut his head off, the head that rolls is Tinky Winky's head rolling.
I
Like
agree.
someone listening.
If I was good with
Anybody
computers,
does that, send it to me and Ace because we're gonna love it.
oh
And,
my
like,
God, I'm
everybody-
gonna get my husband to figure out how to do that.
Figure
Because
out how to do it.
Here, you know how to do it?
No, we can figure out how to do it.
Oh
just
my
like,
God,
oh,
yes.
there's like Tinky Winky's head.
We're
That
gonna
was-
do,
that
we're
was
gonna
maybe-
do it, and we'll send it to you, and you can share it with
Definitely.
Ace. And
And I want to share because that was the little golden behind the scene thing. I think for me was one of the more fun moments there where we were like, what?
I couldn't know it. I could not know that fact before the scene. If they needed me to be in it, I could not, because I would be like, my acting only can go so far, and it stops at Tinky Winky.
And imagine that, you know, we've been sitting around like we sit in this little tent, and because it's freezing cold, and then all of a sudden I just hear these small comments about Tinky Winky, and then I'm like, what are you talking about? And then it's like Ace is like, but it's like Dave's like Tinky Winky, he's like the one inside Tinky Winky. What? And then you know we have filmed something, and then we're gonna go on filming more, you know, so it's just like your view of this person is just like completely distorted.
Do you think he loves being known as the guy inside Tinky Winky, or
Well, he said
do you think
it
he's like,
he-
God dang it?
no. I think he was very proud of it. And
Phrase it differently. Phrase it differently.
No, it's got to be phrased only that way. I would have found a Tinky Winky outfit somewhere, and that would have been my prank. I would have came to set as Tinky Winky.
Oh my God. Or like at the ending, at the rap party, somebody should have hired someone to come in as Tinky Winky.
Yeah.
See, that's where my mind goes all the time. Like I don't know.
So we got some good behind the scenes, like some good Teletubbies behind the scenes stories while we were sitting there waiting. So that was fun. So
Okay, we got to
I
share
can
one of
share
them then.
those.
We will never watch
share that.
Teletubbies the same again.
Which Teletubby has a
cut it
cocaine
out.
habit? Which one? There's got to be one. Snorting stuff behind scenes. Come on, you cannot be not high when you're filming that. They have to
Well-
get through the day somehow.
Well, they didn't say anything about that, but
Okay.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Oh,
Taking a picture with him, and then when he signs it, he needs to sign Tinky Winky.
well, like we got a signed photo of Tinky Winky. I got one for my fiance and my daughter as well. So it says "Love Tinky, love to," and my daughter's name from Tinky Winky.
Aww.
Oh my God, I love that. Ashley's jealous.
I am jealous. And I actually, this is how morbid my head was. I was like, I want a picture of Tinky Winky, but holding the mold of the guy's head. So
And
I
with
loved Tinky
with the
Winky.
Uhtred sword in
Oh, the
him,
Uhtred
like
sword,
sticking
yeah.
up there behind.
You're
That's
up in the Photoshop game right now. I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, you really are. God, Tinky Winky. I'm just not going to be the same about life. I'm just not.
Mind blown.
Well, as we end the podcast, we always like to ask for 3 words that you would use to describe your journey or career so far, and also 1 piece of advice you would just like to give someone who is in this industry. It could be somebody who's just starting out, or somebody who's, in the thick of it, or something that you wished you had known.
Yeah. What do you want me to start with?
Either one.
Word?
And the 3 words can be 3 separate words, or it can be a phrase. Some people they're like, oh no, wait, that's 4 words. And we're like, it's fine. It can be 4 words.
Okay. So it's
There's
like
no rules here.
I want to say hard
Mhm.
and worth it. So
Aw.
that's 3, I guess. I think that should be it. So it's like, because it's like with any art form. It's like it's really hard, and you can only do it if you really love it. So that's also what I think my advice, which is also what I always try to tell my students, is that we try to, like, you need to try and make yourself as resilient as possible to everything, because there is going to be, you're going to meet so many obstacles, and you're going to meet everything, and you want to try and make those obstacles, no matter if it's creepy guys trying to sleep with you, or it's rejections from a theater school, or whatever it is, then you need to be able to take it on and make it into fuel instead of something that is hindering you in pursuing whatever it is that you want to pursue, and that's no matter what. So really just people's words, if it's not love, then try to become resilient towards everything that is negative, and turn it into something that really propels you forward.
And that's great advice.
It really is. Yeah. I don't
I
think.
feel
No,
like
man,
that would resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you probably with this podcast, it's like everything we start out is like we would get all kinds of comments, and always people, I'm sure you have experienced this as well in your life, where you're like, oh, we get comments, people write this, oh, I can't, why have you done this, this is bad, this, you don't look good, it's like all of these things, and you just be like, well, how can I turn it into something where I'm like, now I'm gonna show them.
Mhm.
How can it fuel the fire? Yeah.
We
burn it
do.
up.
We'd like to start with this first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, though, when I say this, not to get too sentimental, but I feel like with these 2 women that I've met at this age of my life is the first time I feel like being with 2 women who want to actually support each other fully. And I think with that, when we get hurt, when we ever get told no, whether it's this or anything else we're doing, it's like, I don't know. We just like, or like, oh, did you say no? Watch us do it. You know what I mean? I think it's just, yeah. So I like the new word of resilient. I think that's beautiful and a great way, because we talk about it all the time. But I don't know. I just went a little banshee there, but we do get it. We get like, no, you're not good enough. You're new. You're starting out. But I don't understand those comments. you know, or I don't like the way you look or how you did that. I never understand it. If you don't like something, then do it yourself and do it differently. Do it your way. You don't have to comment on it.
Can't, and also because you can't be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
It's like some people think, well, also because now we're talking about acting, you know, it's like there are some brilliant actors that people love that I'm not very that fond of, but that's my taste, you know.
Right.
That's up to me, and that's like that has only something to do with me.
Right.
If there's something I dislike or something, and I get carried away and get sad about how I look, and then I want to point fingers at all the people I could point fingers at who I think looks bad, and you know, all these things is only about
What you
the
feel
one
inside.
that is saying it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just, we just want more love in the world, don't we?
I feel like we had something with John East when we interviewed him, and we're like, how did you, when you're directing, like, how do you do, you know, these shows, and like all these people's opinions are weighing on you. And I kind of forget how we worded it, but basically it's like, you can't worry about what a million people are thinking. You can only worry about what you are thinking, what makes you happy, what satisfies you, what do you think is a good job. And I was like, so hard sometimes. Like, even like just with acting or audition, you're like, I want to make, you know, these casting directors, I want to make this director happy. And it's like, what, the best work happens when you're happy. And that's sometimes hard to remember in the thick of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So is there a place where our viewers can find you on social media? I know you have an Instagram account.
Very easy, Micki Stoltt. It's very, 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 very easy.
Very hidden. Yeah. They're never going to find you.
It's not hidden, not anything. I'm very, very public, actually. So it's like, yeah, Instagram, and that's probably the best place.
Yes. And we'll also drop links to where they could contact you for classes if.
At the agency, yes, definitely, definitely. So yeah, that in the comments.
Well, Micki, thank you again so much for coming on. Appreciate your time, because we know you have a little one. So, and I know it's late over there. So again, thank you just so much for giving us your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just been a blast. So
awesome.
thank you so
Good.
much.